Reliant is the largest privately held CO2-related family of companies in North America. They go to work day in and day out to provide high-quality CO2 and related products to their valued customers all over America. They have been doing this for over 30 years in the capture, purification, and production of CO2. Their products and solutions serve industries such as airlines, medical testing laboratories, local bars and restaurants, and even the food on our own dinner tables. But what makes Reliant so different is their commitment to pursuing win-win solutions with excellence. This is what makes them reliable, and this is what makes them Reliant. Today, I have with me Joe Carle, Division Manager at Reliant Distribution, who's going to talk to us a little bit today about the importance of CO2 safety in the field and his perspective at Reliant Distribution. I'm honored to have Mr. Joe Carle from Reliant be here with us today to talk about the topic of gas detection safety, CO2 safety more specifically, as it really hits home, I believe, for both of us. But before we get started, I just wanted to ask, Joe, could you tell everyone a little bit about your role in the company at Reliant?
Sure. My name's Joe Carle, as Morgan mentioned. I'm the division manager for the BevCarb division. We have approximately 10,000 accounts. With the ever-changing guidelines, it's important to have a partner that I can rely on to keep me up to date on things that are changing in the industry and help guide me through some of these difficult interpretations of the law. We also have another division, the Reliant Dry Ice, who I know will be relying on CO2Meter, Josh and Morgan, for their expertise as we continue to grow and understand the importance of monitoring CO2 levels in all areas of our business.
Thank you, Joe. Now, I know that also correlates to just safety and educating people when it comes to this topic and monitoring. And I know that that's something that really hits home for you specifically. I was curious if you could give us just a little bit of insight to some of those trainings, safety education courses that you all are doing at Reliant, not only for your employees, but also for customers as it pertains to gas detection.
Well, it's kind of funny, Morgan. We offer training to all of our customers. And in the 15 years that I've been here with Reliant, we try to promote it as some value-added services. And it's unfortunate, but very few customers take us up on that offer. And it's a shame because in some of our concepts are such as C-stores, there's such a large turnover of employees. And it is important that at least the managers be trained so they can educate their people. As far as our staff, we have weekly safety meetings and, we try to stress the importance of monitoring their surroundings, looking at installations that may be aged, that need to be updated. It's easy to let your guard down. And when you do that, that's usually when you have a problem or worse.
Joe, so speaking on safety and training, aside from just the training itself, with Reliant, does Reliant use any CO2 monitoring technologies in order to mitigate potential hazards or any other technologies that are protecting the employees or customers?
Yes, we do. We do buy your CO2 monitor, but we do install them in beverage carbonation applications. And we are purchasing personal CO2 monitors for our installers.
I appreciate that, Joe. It's always nice to have such great partners such as yourself, too, that also stand by, our solutions in order to protect not just their staff, but their customers. On the opposite side of that, have you ever received any pushback from customers when it comes to CO2 monitoring? I know just from an education perspective, it can be hard to get people understanding, the importance of CO2 safety at times, but has that ever occurred?
Yeah, we still get it to the day. The larger concepts and chains embrace it. And they want the same thing that we want, a safe environment for not only our employees, but their employees. Where it really becomes a challenge is the mom and pops. Where they are hesitant to do it unless they're mandated to do it. And as much as you try to educate them, it's a cost factor that is substantial for them when some of these places are really running day to day, customer to customer. And again, That's not the kind of customer I want, but at the end of the day, they may stay in business for 20 years, but that cost is substantial for them. But all we can do is educate them and promote the benefits of the monitor and how it can save a life and prevent an accident.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that perspective, Joe, because there are so many different applications and industries that are using these gases. So it's nice to see not only from the larger portion in corporations, but also from the small mom and pops, just where it lies, as important as it is in their minds. So that's
It's
very
again,
helpful.
like you said, it's about education and,
Yeah.
do they want to be educated? And honestly, I think some of these fire marshals need to be educated, because I think they struggle with the interpretation of the law itself and how they want to interpret it and how they want to enforce it. So, that's a constant struggle that we deal with, and I'm sure a lot of other providers also deal with.
I completely agree. I know that's often something that we're having to face here at CO2 Meter is more, also rely on the industry professionals like yourself, and even like some of the manufacturers who are just continuing trying to push those resources and education out there to them so they can really understand the severity at hand. I'd like to kind of change the ball and change pace just a little bit, Joe, just because of your industry experience. I know that since I started in this industry, you've always been someone that I look up to just because of how many years you've had in this field. And so I would be interested in knowing, over the 5, 10 years when CO2 safety was still a topic, has anything changed from how you would approach the topic of CO2 safety 5 to 10 years ago versus now?
Well, 5 or 10 years ago, it wasn't even a topic. I mean, it really was never a concern, and I like to that incident that happened out in the Southwest that really shed light on it, and then it just kind of dominoed from there. Certain areas are struggling to embrace it, and I'm sure there's suppliers that are struggling to embrace it. But it's coming. It's whether we like it or not. It's coming, and we need to grasp that it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity there. I mean, let's face it, there is a revenue stream that can come from this as a supplier. That's the plus. The negative side, it's something that you really need to sell the customer on, because of the potential of the negative and the positive, and make them understand that it's a good investment. It doesn't give them immediate return on the dollar, but long term, I think it's beneficial. And I would think that in the old days, we had people used to go to their insurance company and tell them that, hey, I'm moving away from high pressure cylinders. I'm going to a much safer system. And some of those people in the early days actually got a premium discount because they went to a safer system, low pressure. The cylinders are high pressure, dangerous. So I'm just wondering if that's an avenue that can be maybe investigated where, hey, look, my facility, my restaurant has, CO2 monitors. I'm taking it to the next level. I'm making sure the environment's safe and for my employees and my customers.
I think
Sure.
lastly, and you've hit on this too, I think a few times, just in how important safety is on this topic, just getting everyone up to speed and being aware of everything that's going on when you're working, daily in these environments, with handling, producing, storing any of these gases. But I think just from your perspective, if there was anything or any last minute advice that you would want to give someone that's actually in these applications daily, what would that advice be as it relates to CO2 safety?
Well, I'm going to give you a little more than you asked for. From a supplier perspective, I think, I myself struggled and had a lot of resistance to it because it's change. And when you're and been in the business as long as I have, sometimes change is difficult. But the ramifications of not opening your eyes to a device that can save a life, I think it's important to understand that you need to grasp this piece of equipment and do it not only for your customers, but do it for your employees. Now, from a customer standpoint, the pitch was always when we tried to get them to go from cylinders to bulk CO2, you know, eliminate the hazard there for the customer, for their employees, or little Becky going back in the back room to change a cylinder. Avoid that hazard of having them to deal with cylinders. This is no different. Okay? It's just the next step, the progressive step. Protect little Becky and the customers of, God forbid, a leaking bag in a box pump or some type of open-ended line in the beer cooler. Protect them, protect your employees, protect your customers. Do everything you can to not only provide them a good dining experience, but a safe dining experience. Nobody wants to go to a restaurant and have an issue where they don't come out alive.
No worries. That hit it right on the nail, I think, for me. It's not just protecting your staff, it's not just protecting your establishment. You're essentially saving lives here. So I think that spoke great.
Again, Faith, I mean, again, anybody that's been in this business for any period of time, I'm sure at one point or another, including myself, you felt that in your lungs. You felt that feeling of a higher concentrate of CO2 than you should be around. And thank God you had the wherewithal to get out of there and get to more fresh air and not have that happen. And again, I've filled cylinders for my father way back when, and it happened all the time. And we really didn't think much of it. But now you think of all the times that, geez, if it was a little more enclosed room or a little bit higher concentration, I may not be here today. So again, those life lessons should be taken to heart, and we should learn from them and do everything we can to protect ourselves from CO2, which unfortunately is an asphyxiant. And as much as we don't want to believe it, it can deplace oxygen and cause death.
Thank you, Joe. It's honestly, it's leaders like yourself that we're really honored to work with, to just provide this perspective and the real industry perspective as well on CO2 safety. I mean, you said it too with Reliant. You guys are in so many different, areas with CO2, not just services, but products. So it really speaks volumes just to have you here today with us and giving your expertise and your feedback on it. So I can't thank you enough for taking time out to talk with me today.
Well, and I've got to give you a little props too between you and Josh. You guys are a good partner. What's important to me, what sets us apart from our customers, is they get answers. The phone gets picked up. It doesn't go through a menu and you sit on hold. And I honestly feel the same way with you guys. When I call you guys, I get an answer. I get a response. I get the help that's needed. And really, that made the decision easier to choose CO2Meter over the competitors because of that. To me, all important value added services, because of these compliance and these guidelines, are so hard to interpret and change from city to city in the state of Texas. So again, it was an easy decision, and I value our relationship, and hopefully we'll continue to grow together.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. And speaking on that, if any of our audience members wanted to learn more specifically about Reliant, or connect with you, is there a certain place or resource that we should direct them to?
The main website for the company is Reliant Holdings with an S, Ltd.com, Reliant Holdings. And you'll see all that we do. We do liquid, we do dry ice, we do manufacturing, bev carb. So we're in all avenues of the CO2 business, carbon dioxide business. We build plants. We continue to build plants, and it's a full service equipment and services and products, full stream for the carbon dioxide business.